got my regular camera, so I'm running the phone today. Anyways, I did a video on CRV. I can't even say that number. Just a minute. 80 CRV2. Okay, 80 CRV2. Keep seeing it. Keep remembering it. Did a video about how I think sometimes some makers don't switch to the super steels because it's a resource base issue. Well, you know what? I shouldn't. Once again, I'm kind of falling into a bias there because I'm assuming that everybody needs to do stock removal knives with more contemporary steels, and that isn't the case. I forget even myself, that I'm now excluding bladesmiths and people who like to forge knives, who kind of sometimes favor that steel, and their needs are very different. They typically, they keep moving the metal, with the heat. And some of the tests, I think that that some of the bladesmiths do go sometimes misunderstood. The 90-degree flex test, to me, when I see somebody doing a 90-degree flex test, obviously I don't want a knife that's bent at 90 degrees. I don't need a knife that's shaped like a right angle. I can go buy a trowel or something for that. But anyway, the reason why I think bladesmiths do a 90-degree flex test is as a study. It's more of a study. Here's this knife, and now what they're trying to do is create a edge that's hard enough to hold a cutting edge that's hard enough to hold its cutting ability, but yet the body itself has enough flexibility at the time at a time to let's go up the hill. Come on, let's jam up the hill. Let's jam up the hill. Come on. Let's jam up the hill. Let me see your legs. Let me see your legs. The 90-degree flex test is kind of for a person to it's a study. Okay, it's not really. I mean, I don't really need a knife that's going to flex 90 degrees. Then I can flip it back around and run and pull it back the other direction and straighten it again. I mean, that's not really a feature of a knife that I really need. What it is to create a understanding of someone heat treating their own steel enough to where that person is good enough to heat treat a knife, not only create an edge that keeps an edge, but also has a body to that blade. Let's go up the hill. Come on. Let's jam up the hill. Come on, guys. You like this? You like this stuff? Come on. Keeps a edge, and at the same time, still has a body that's flexible enough to be flexed and bent 90 degrees, then flipped around and bent back another direction to where it comes up true. And part of that, I think is the blade there's two sides. It's actually almost like two tempers on one blade, where one side is almost like a 90-degree flex. Then the other side has a memory, and it can be flipped over and bent back the other way to return to its true state of straightness. And that's kind of it takes a lot of people who do that probably have to know what's going on with the metal. And a lot of these things, these objectives, I think if I remember right, are pretty much reached on either a coal or gas forge. It's all done on coal and gas and things like that. I mean, there's a few electrical forges that use like cathodes and things that people coils that they put the metal into, and it heats it up there. It's like super heated, super quick. But a lot of these 90-degree flex tests and these sorts of tests that they do, a lot of them are treated, a lot of these are achieved with a regular forge. And I've had to have taken pretty much a lot of trial and error to come to this. There's some people that say we really don't know much about steel than what we've known in the last, someone says 100 and something years. We've finally found out what we know about steel, and a lot of things that we did to steel coming up until may have been misnomers. I remember taking a welding class, and the teacher was talking. They were talking about quenching an oil, and the the student and the teacher were having this discussion about quenching an oil, and how and this has actually been written in books in the past, that the pores of the steel open up, allow the oil to enter the steel at this high temperature, at this radiating, reddish orange temperature, and allow the oil to stay kind of impregnated into the steel surface, where the steel's actually has a lubricity and a rust resistance. And I kind of raised my hand. I said, no, it's the steel has an ability to cool down fast enough to where the metal gets hard, and so it will basically get hard, but yet it won't be so hard where it'll break like glass. But then I see other forms of quenching, other people on television even that said that plate quenching will suck the heat out of steel so fast that it will suck the heat out of steel so fast that it'll create a hardness in the steel. And then at the same time, I actually got 2 huge plates. They're like 9 inches by 3 feet long. I mean, they're huge. They're enormous aluminum plates. They're 1.25 inches thick. I paid about $280 for them. They're probably worth way more now just in weight. And I went ahead and took 01 out, some 01 knives I made, stuck them on that aluminum, pressed them between the aluminum, and I went ahead and said, okay, we're done. Sent it to a buddy of mine, and he was going to do an online review. And he says, I worked on something with his knife, and it bent like aluminum foil at the tip. And the aluminum quench on 01 didn't get it hard. And it was only until I took the knives back, re-annealed them, did the regular heat treat, dunked it in oil, that I actually get the actual hardness that I needed. It was just like, well, there's that's theory's gone. It isn't just a heat thermal transfer. I needed to actually dunk it in oil to get the hardness. And so, why would that steel be oil hardened? Yet the aluminum quench is supposed to do the same thing, pull the heat out at a slow enough of a rate to where it hardens the steel, but it didn't harden with the aluminum treatment, pulling the heat out with aluminum. So I don't know. But back to 80.